bumps in the road. Whoa. Well, we've done a lot to the old FZ-07. It's not old, it's new. Why did I say old? We've done a lot to it, but is it been worth it? Is any of this shit even made a fucking difference?
FZ-07, bullshit on series. Jake's gonna turn a wrench. This makes him a customizer.
Search for your customizer. I apologize. So I got a little out of control there. Let's just do like a little progress report, if you will. Not that downshift sound though. Blah, blah. No vehicles beyond this point. It's never stopped me before. Where is the most natural environment for this bike to be at? Bullshit on series. Alright. Got an old water tower right there. This seems like a cinematic location. Cinematics are important, you know. 3/10 of the law of cinematics. Oh yeah, some trees, a water tower. This will do. Yep. I just kicked this. I didn't realize what it was. I think it's a blown out baseball. I've blown this shoulder out several times. I'm gonna like throw my fucking back out. Ugh, shit, fuck no, that hurt really bad.
Cinematic music. Do 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 do.
This video is just kind of meant to be sort of a progress report of what's been going on with the bike, how big of a difference has the modifications made to it at this point. And I'm not done with the bike. A lot of people are like, dude, that build was awesome, Jake. I'm so glad to see it's done now. I mean, I don't plan to drag it out or anything, but I still have some other stuff that's gonna go on to. I got stuff in my office right now that needs to go onto the bike. So, in fact, I'm gonna ask you to ignore this. There's already some protection stuff from T-Rex on there. That's a video coming up real soon. Before we go any further, we did a giveaway like a week ago, and that's over now. And the winners are these people. I wrote your name down on a piece of paper, meant to bring it out here to say it, so hopefully putting it on the screen will suffice. You know, one of the things that always cracks me up, and I'm sure you've heard it before too, is you'll be reading about someone's bike and they did something to it and they say, change the whole thing. Completely different bike now. It was shit before. I don't even know why I bought it, but now it's amazing. It's the best fucking bike on the market. You should buy this mod. Like, I think people way over justify the money they spend on bikes. Let's go over it. What did we start with? What was the first thing we ever did? Well, actually, before I even started the Bullshit On series, I already put a mod on the bike. I didn't film it, I do apologize, but it's this windscreen right here. Windscreen. It's pretty much there for the looks of it. I could not stand how the front of this bike looked when I got it. It just had this weird, like something was missing look, and half the windscreens for it just looked bizarre. I didn't like them. It seemed like a lot of companies were just taking windscreens they already made for other bikes and adapting, you know, making a different bracket to put on this bike. So they didn't really follow the lines of the bike correctly. And if you're actually gonna get a windscreen that's tall enough to really deflect wind, they look hideous. I bought a naked bike, so fuck it, let it be a naked bike, but I just had to have something to fix this where the keyhole went. This one is the cheapest, whatever, I think this is 25, 30 bucks on Amazon. This thing is badass because it's just perfect. It comes with no instructions, no hardware. You buy it because you're gonna be able to figure it out. The only thing I had to do to it, I did have to put a couple washers up right here and there on both sides because the spacing was a little wide, but it's literally the simplest thing I'll ever put on the bike. It does nothing to block wind. I just love how it looks. Then we went on and we did the turn signals on the front, which are freaking outrageous. People love these things. On screen, that looks so cool. Doesn't look like that in person, unfortunately. Obviously, you can see them just fine in the daylight, which is what you want. But at night, these are, in fact, even now, I need to turn these off. I have spots. I already have spots in my eyes. That's what I wanted. Front turn signals from High Tech Speed. This whole back end, the fender eliminator, and this tail light are from Moto Dynamics. Those first set of mods were really just to clean the whole bike up and give it a better look. You know, these things come from the factory regulation stuff that lawyers and government wants them to have, and it's just not cool. And it's such a neat looking bike. I really love the way the FZ-07 looks. This color scheme was a little outrageous, I'll admit that, and at first I would walk out in the garage and I would look at this sometimes and go, oh my god, what did I do? But it's quickly grown on me. I really like it. And the next big thing we did was the handlebar. These bars compared to the stock bars are a little bit wider and a little bit lower. For me, that's what I like. This is a Ricky Carmichael Pro Tapered bar. Along with the grips, we did a set of whatever cheapo levers. I'll probably change those out later. We also did an R6 throttle tube. in here. This means the throttle throw is shorter. Talk about mods and people say it changed the whole bike. Again, the bars is one of those weird ones. It can really dramatically change how the whole motorcycle feels. Sort of a more aggressive feel. It just feels more, to me at least, how I can ride a bike aggressively. You might not like that. This might be uncomfortable to you. The best thing I can tell you to do is when you're riding your bike around, if you feel like your hand should be in a different position, then maybe that's where the bars need to be. One of the next mods we did was steel braided brake lines to the bike, front and rear. And this was something I was kind of worried about this bike when I got it. The brakes just did not, they weren't right there for me. I was worried that they weren't gonna be good enough. Just by doing these steel braided lines, I got a much better feel out of them. They have a much more firmness to them than they had before. I think in a future video I might actually put a little bit better set of pads in the front and rear. Up into that point, the bike's got a little bit different feel with the handling of on the handlebars, a little bit better brake feel. We really hadn't done anything to performance yet until we did the last 3 bolt-on shit videos. We did intake stuff, tuning, and then full exhaust. A lot of people have been asking me since those videos, do I really need to do tuning? Is it really that necessary? You know, I'm just gonna put a slip on, or I'm just gonna do just a filter. What do you think? My opinion is these bikes could use tuning stock, honestly. They do come a bit lean from the factory. And because of that, I'm always all about doing tuning. Especially as soon as you replace anything on the exhaust or the intake, you're increasing the airflow to the bike, and therefore you're gonna make that lean condition a little bit worse. So yeah, my opinion is, yeah, go with the tuning. The kit we put on this bike, the Flash Tune kit, comes in just a hair cheaper typically than a Power Commander, sometimes a lot cheaper depending on the bike. And it does more. It does everything the Power Commanders do, or the Brazzles things, but more. So yeah, I really think that's a good fucking kit. Now, as far as the performance differences with all those parts were concerned, like I said, I did all 3 of them at once. I actually didn't ride the bike in that time, so I can't tell you how much of a difference each one individually made. But as a whole, they made a pretty nice little difference. I think a lot of people assume you can buy a bike like this as a beginner bike, which would make a nice beginner's bike, and then you could basically make it as fast as a 600 with mods. Not really. You're never gonna make this engine make, you know, over 100 horsepower unless you put some kind of power adder on it. It's just not what this thing is made to do. And that comes to a more important understanding of torque engines that are built for torque and lower RPM power ranges and higher RPM power ranges. This engine, I think, redlines at like 10,000, 11,000 RPMs, and it seems to make the bulk of its horsepower kind of right in the middle, between about like 4,000 or 5,000 RPMs and about 8,000 RPMs. Right in that chunk is just where it's the meatiest, and it's got this nice torque band to it. These mods just seem to excel that a little bit more. I have to imagine that if we did throw it on a dyno before and after, and I meant to do that, I'm sorry, just the dyno around me closed. I don't think though you would see a massive top end gain. I imagine it's 5, maybe 10 horsepower extra at most with all these mods. I think what you'd see a bigger change is in that mid-range, you know, that sort of hump up on that power band would look really good right around there. When you combine these mods, especially with the R6 throttle tube, this thing is pretty snappy now. That's the biggest thing I've noticed. It just has an even harder snap to it. It makes it even more hooligan. It likes to rip the wheel up even faster now. And for me, at least, that's what I love. I don't really care about going super fast and crazy top speeds. Like I said, I used to have an R1 when I was younger, and I went faster than I should have plenty of times on that, and I think I got that out of my system. I kind of just like doing hooligan stuff now, and this bike is awesome for that. It's very nimble too. I think that's what makes this thing a lot of fun. Very short wheelbase, pretty lightweight. I had a lot of comments though that TwoBros made shitty exhaust, and it completely caught me off guard reading those comments, because apparently that's one of the known things now in the motorcycle world that I wasn't aware of. I think that's what happens when you're a new rider. You're trying to absorb all the information you can. When you're new into the game, and you'll go on forums, you'll listen to people talking. It's good, you should listen to that, but you gotta remember there's a lot of people just throwing bullshit out that they heard from the next guy. Misinformation gets spread around, and I see it a lot in the motorcycle game. I'll just see people saying things as fact that are just bizarre to me. You know, obviously I got this cool deal where they're making my system, put my badge on the system here, so I'm all psyched up for this thing. When I read in the comments, people go, "Fuck TwoBros, that thing sucks." I was completely fucking caught off guard. I was a bit salty about it. Some of y'all saw that on Instagram. I can speak to some level of professionalism on this. I am a certified mechanic, and I've had my hands on a lot of different exhaust systems. I've installed a lot of different exhaust systems, and I've gotten to see, you know, up close who necessarily makes a great exhaust and a bad exhaust. And the truth is, TwoBros exhaust was just, I won't say that they're better than like Yoshimura or Akrapovic or Leo Vinci or any of these other guys, but I wouldn't say they're any worse. They're just kind of all there as being really good brands, and I do mean that honestly. I know a lot of people were saying this carbon fiber is fake. That's not true. This end cap is magnesium. It's not plastic. It's not cheap. It's not I'm baffled by it. I think the problem is that people hear information like that and then just take it as they're trying to absorb their own stuff and trying to learn knowledge about bikes, and then they just say it with authority of, yes, that's a shitty exhaust. And I can say to them, if you actually had your hands on one, if you ever installed one, owned one, if you actually seen one explode, and people are like, oh, they blow apart. But the company's been around, I think, for like 30 years or something. If they made shitty exhausts, they wouldn't be here still, guys. I don't want to drag on about that too long, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't put some shit product on my bike just because they put my fucking name on it. So have all these mods radically changed the bike and made it something completely different? No, it's still an FZ-07. It's a little bit sharper in areas now that it wasn't before. Braking, throttle response. I think the looks are a little bit sharper. And ultimately, I think it's a pretty sick bike, man. I really like walking out to my garage and look at this thing. You know when you do that, when you got something cool and it's new, and usually it kind of wears off after a while? Well, this thing, because we keep putting new parts on it, I keep walking out there every once in a while going, damn, this is a nice looking motorcycle. Yeah, I'm pretty much happy with everything we've done so far. It's just a very nimble, fun bike to ride. That's what it does well. It's got a nice, punchy engine. It loves to rip wheelies. Pretty nimble wheelbase on there. I do want to do some work with the suspension at some point. The front end, especially it's the front, it's a little bit sloppy on the front, but there's a lot of good aftermarket stuff out there, and I think we'll figure out something for it. I'm not too worried about that. I hope you guys are enjoying this Bolt Shit On series and seeing what's going on here. A little progress report. I mean, I give it a fucking, is it an A+? Maybe it's an A. I don't want to say it's an A-. It's not an A+ though. I don't know if we're quite there yet, but I give it an A. I give it an A of where it's come from in progress. It's a good little bike overall. Anyways, water tower out here in the FZ's natural environment, and appreciate you guys watching. Oh, and if you didn't win a filter and you're upset about me, you know, in that contest, just remember, you got the most important thing of all, knowledge.
This thing doesn't have like much of a snappy power band to it, does it?